Well, good morning. It's day 2, 7 a.m, and we're on the road. It's a rather chilly 4 degrees. As you can see, Dennis driving here, got his hat and everything on. Morning. Oh, it's a chilly one. So yeah, wrapped up well, we're on our way, and we are going to be covering the east side of the Somme, as the sat nav is sending us round the roundabout about 3 times. So yeah, had a great sleep last night, fully refreshed, ready to go on day 2. So we will see you at our first call, or our first stop. So we'll see you then. So here we are at our first destination on day 2, and this is actually one from day 1 that we just didn't get to last night due to tiredness. So this is Dernancourt Cemetery, a couple of miles outside of Albert to the south, which we will pick up on this one. Pick this up. We've got a Bellahouston boy and a VC winner here, which we will go and find in a second. I'll just give you an idea of the weather and of the cemetery as well. Nice little one. It does go slightly back and up over the hill, so there is quite a few lost souls in here.
Second Lieutenant Spence Ross Wilson was the youngest son of Mr. and Mrs. William Wilson, Cedar Villa, Lenzie. He was commissioned in September 1915 and after training at Richmond, Yorkshire, joined the 10th Battalion at Dunfermline. Proceeding to France, he was in action at the beginning of September 1916, wounded in a trench raid in front of the Butte de Wallencourt. He died the following day in a casualty clearing station. A former pupil of Bellahouston Academy, Glasgow.
Also here in this Dernancourt Cemetery we have a VC winner. A Thomas Harris also won the military medal as well, from the West Kent Regiment, so a little bit there, obviously living in Kent now. He did attack some trenches, I think 3 occasions, killing all the machine gunners there, which won him the VC. So, paid our respects to the fallen here in this cemetery. Just giving you a little panoramic view of the cemetery as we head, and the sun's up and the clouds are breaking, and we'll be heading on to our next one on day 2. So here we've arrived at the Norfolk Cemetery, where we're here to pay our respects to a VC winner. Just a cemetery, small one, or smallish kind of one, on the side of the road. As you're driving by, it just seems to be there on the side of the road. So we take a walk in. We're actually going in the back entrance and not the front, but we're going to look for our VC winner. This gentleman here, Stuart Walter Loudenstrand, who won the VC, career soldier, fought in the Boer War, or the Second Boer War. He also, in here, as they went over on day 1 of the Somme, his men were cut down by machine gun fire. He kept encouraging them on, even though he was mortally wounded as well, and even he was propped at the side of the trench, encouraging his men to attack. And sadly then he passed, and that's what won him the VC. So here we've arrived at the Devonshire Cemetery. I visited this one last year. Very, very moving cemetery. I think this is one of those cemeteries that you have to actually, everybody, no matter where you are and you come to the Somme area, you must visit this cemetery. Very poignant, a very, very sad story to this, which I'll hopefully try and do it justice by explaining it. What it is the soldiers were ready to go over, realising, sorry, I'll open the gate and I'll take you in here. What it is all of these soldiers here in this small cemetery never actually made it out of the trench. As they went up over the top, just at the end here at this cemetery, they were cut down by machine gun fire, and all of them fell back in to the trench where they lay. And that's why they ended up, when it came to them, they just buried them in the trench and left them. So this is actually a mass grave, all from the Devonshire Regiment. The reason I'm walking up is I'm taking up here as you've got your captain, who did use, he did say he was quite worried regarding it all, and he spoke to his sergeant saying that, you know, they may well get shot down as they proceeded to it. Captain Martin there, he along with his sergeant did. There is a poem about, and if you can get a chance to read it, a Devonshire poem. If I can see it, the trees are in the way, but if you can see through, I don't think you can at the moment, but over on the far side there was where the machine gun posts were, and also over here as well they had machine guns posts, German machine gun posts in these woods that cut them down completely. And as I said, they never ever left the cemetery, they never ever left the trench, and hence why it's now a cemetery. Originally, after the battle, they erected a wooden memorial to them all. It's now been replaced with this stone one. Again, if you would pause on here, have a little read of this, and as they said, this, they still hold it to this day, the Devonshires do. Quite a very moving, as I said. On the 1st of July 1916, the 8th and 9th Devonshires suffered very heavy casualties as they left their forward trench to attack. Later that day, the survivors buried their fallen comrades in the same trench and erected a wooden memorial with the words which are carved on the cross above. The Devonshires held this trench, the Devonshires hold it still. So this is the Devonshire Cemetery, and in the distance, that tree line, that is where the machine gun posts were that actually cut them all down. And as you see, every single soldier here died on the 1st of July by not even leaving the trench. I'll just pull down here on the side of the road to the, I believe it's the Perron Road cemetery. Unwalled one as well, straight at the side of the road. And as we go in, and I've also known that there's a VC winner here, so we will be heading in. As we head in, we will go and look for him. As you hear the cars in the background, as I said, it is straight on the main sort of road. Nice little one just to pull into. Take some time to have a look. So here is the VC winner, Lieutenant Colonel William Anderson, Highland Light Infantry. He was quite a remarkable man. He, on the day the attack, the day before he was killed, 24th of March, he was attacking German trenches, throwing bombs. All of his comrades were wounded. He took their bombs and started throwing them as well, and took control of the trench. That's what he won the VC for, and then the following day, doing the same again, attacking a trench, he was mortally killed. So here we are as we're heading out east away from the Somme. We come across this one, again another roadside cemetery, La Chapelette, which is a British and an Indian cemetery. We're here to pay our respects to a Bellahouston boy who is actually buried here in this cemetery.
Second Lieutenant Albert Graham Keane, the youngest son of Mrs. Keane, 1 Lothian Gardens, Cardonald, was the only member of staff who fell in the war. Though he had only been a short time with us before he enlisted, he had become, by reason of his genial nature, his capability and scholarship, a valued and respected colleague. Lieutenant Keane graduated MA in 1909 and had almost completed his BSc degree after serving on the staff of Rutland Crescent and Broomlawn Road schools. He returned to the university to continue his studies in botany and geography. In September 1915, he joined the staff of Bellahouston Academy, and in February 1916 enlisted in the 7th Scottish Rifles. He received his commission in January 1917 and attached to the 2nd Scottish Rifles. Left for France in March. On 5th of May 1917, he was wounded in action at St Quentin and died 3 days later. A former teacher of Bellahouston Academy, Glasgow.
So we're here at, again, the French pronunciation, Roselle Communal Cemetery and Extension, where we're here to pay respects to a VC winner. There's quite a few bits up to a little seated area. I say just over there in the back, that is the communal cemetery for the town. And then we come into, as you can see just there, as we come into the extension, which is the military bit of the cemetery. And we'll head up there to find the VC winner. So we found this Second Lieutenant John Buchan, VC. The Argyll and Cylinders, quite a story behind this man, quite a remarkable and a very courageous gentleman. I mean, he was wounded early doors but stayed with his platoon fighting to the end. Even after they retreated back, he still stayed fighting the Germans back, and even though totally cut off against overwhelming odds, and he eventually died while being a prisoner of war, and eventually succumbed to the attack from the German forces. So here we are, travelling east still. We've come to the Hargicourt British Cemetery. Again, a little bit out of the way, down dirt tracks this one is, and in the sort of middle of nowhere. We are here to visit the Bellahouston boy, which we'll just head in and find now.
Second Lieutenant Duncan Robertson Moyer Smith, 20, was the second son of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, 20 Carment Drive, Shawlands, Glasgow. On leaving the academy, he went to Allen Glens and the Royal Technical College. He qualified as a civil and mining engineer and was employed by Mr. Harry W. Lewinsky of 154 West Regent Street, Glasgow. In 1915, he joined the Argyll and Southern Highlanders, and in March 1917 was gazetted to the 15th Royal Scots. He went to France in May and died from wounds received in action on the 27th of August 1917 at St Quentin, a former pupil of Bellahouston Academy, Glasgow.
So still travelling east out of Albert and the Somme area, we've came up to this one, the Unicorn Cemetery. Again on a roadside, sort of a half quiet road on the side of a verge. Quite a large one as well for where we are situated. And we're here, we've got a VC winner and also a friend's family member are both buried in this cemetery, and we'll go in and pay our respects to them. So as we enter the cemetery, it's right at the very front is the first one we're looking for, which is a friend's family member.
This is dedicated to John McDowell and family. Private Neil O'Neill, son to John and Catherine O'Neill, husband to Margaret O'Neill of 67, Auchenstary, Croy. He enlisted in the Royal Munster Fusiliers, but were later transferred to the Royal Dublin Fusiliers. He was killed in action on the first day of the German spring offensive known as Operation Michael. He was 34 years old.
So Corporal Lawrence Weathers, VC winner, again a very courageous man, as he threw bombs, constantly attacking the trenches, the German trenches, throwing bombs, which was strongly held. He went forward alone and started throwing them, and eventually captured him and his squadron over 180 prisoners and 3 machine guns. That's what he won the VC for, and then 3 weeks later he was killed in action in the same area. So here we are as we're walking into Bellicourt British Cemetery, which is, we're here to pay our respects to a very unusual one, because it's a VC winner and also a professional football one of the few, I think there was only 2, if I can remember rightly, that were actually professional footballers that won VCs. So we'll just go and find them here. Weather has changed a little bit as well. The winds got up, temperatures dropped to about 7 degrees, and the rain looks like it's going to start as well. So as I said, we will go look for this gentleman and we'll be back with a little bit about him shortly. So finding him here, Bernard Van, who actually played for Burton United, Derby County, Leicester and Northampton Town. Now, this gentleman originally wanted to be a chaplain, but there was no position for him, so he joined the infantry. He won his medal, his VC Cross, or a Victoria Cross, for charging numerous times the enemy. He did survive it and received the VC, but a week later was killed in action in the same battle. Right, once again, top of a little hill we're here, and it's going to be one of these ones that is going to test my French. Quitissest Military Cemetery, I'll go with that one. So here we are, we're here. This is quite a small one as well, again on quite a busy road, and we're here to find a Bellahouston boy who's actually buried somewhere here. So I say there's not many of them. Looking here, there's possibly only about 30 or 40 of them, and as you said, we're quite up the top, busy road, and again in the middle of nowhere. So we are very east now. I think we've got one more stop, which will be our furthest east stop, and then we'll be heading back in. These ones here are actually German soldiers that are buried here, and then at this side we've got some British soldiers. So just looking for him, I believe he's B9, which is, and I've got him there. So that is actually who we're here to pay our respects to, Thomas Brodie, the Bellahouston pupil.
Private Thomas Scott Brodie was the son of the late Mr. John Brodie, Fairfield Shipping Company, and of Mrs. Brodie, 5 South Street, Govan. He was in employment of Messrs Moorhead, Brunswick Street, Glasgow, when he enlisted in the Lovat Scouts in August 1914. He had seen much service in Gallipoli, Egypt and Salonika before he was drafted to France, and his death so near the end of the campaign was all the more regrettable. His platoon was advancing against very heavy machine gun fire on the morning of 17 October 1918 when he was instantaneously killed. He well merited the words of his commanding officer, a gallant and willing soldier, well liked by both officers and men. Private Brodie was 21 years of age, a former pupil of Bellahouston Academy, Glasgow.
So took a little bit of time to find this one because it's the Ors Communal Cemetery, where we've got a very, very small one built in to obviously the local cemetery. So here we are, eventually Ors Communal Cemetery. We have a couple of VC winners in here, and as we see we've got about 40 graves in this bit, and as I said, 2 VC winners. So we'll just head in and look for them. I can already see one of them, due to the headstone being very distinctive with the cross, or the Victoria Cross, on the bottom of it. I actually found both of them now, as we'll head up. Go to the one in the corner that he's sitting quite away, and this is James Neville Marshall, Lieutenant Colonel, VC, also had MC in a bar from the Irish Guards, and he actually died and won his Victoria Cross 1 week before the end of the war, for gallantry. So that's James Neville Marshall, and the other one is James Kirk VC. He's just along from the Manchester Regiment. Died in the same day as Marshall, 4th of November 1918, 1 week before Armistice Day, and he was only 21 years of age. Very young to have died, but under fire. They discarded for their own safety and they just fought on. One of them was to complete a bridge and hold the bridge, and the other one, he took charge of a Lewis gun and held back the charge. Also, while we're here, we've found that there's a poet also buried here. His first name was Wilfred Owen, MC Military Cross from the Manchester. Again, he also died on the same day as the VC winner, so it was obviously a very heavy attack. All of them, or the majority as I look round the other stones, all died on the 4th of November 1918. So very heavy fighting obviously taking place that day in this area of Ors, and they're all buried. And I will just, as I come up, this is the poet, as I come up I will look and see that they are all the 4th of November. I've just had the thumbs up from Dennis there, and they're all the 4th of November. So everybody in this cemetery, I think there's about 40 of them. I will do a little bit of research into why one of the VC winners is slightly away from the rest of the graves, but yeah, all died on the 4th of November and obviously a battle round Ors area. So here we are at the next cemetery, just before we go into the Crossroads Cemetery to find Bellahouston Boy. Just at that last one at Ors Cemetery, those 2 VC winners, those were the last recipients of the Western Front battle to receive those VCs, and obviously the 4th of November before the end of the war. So in that, they were the last 2 recipients of the Western Front campaign. So now here we're in Crossroad, and we're looking for a Bellahouston Boy who is buried here. Again, this cemetery, very village hall, it looks like, down the side there, and again, vast area in the middle of nowhere. So we'll head in and look for our Bellahouston pupil. So hopefully you can hear me. The wind is very strong here at the moment, and we've actually found him, but just looking at the stones here, he's actually buried in a mass grave of maybe about 15, maybe 20 of them. They're all buried here in a mass grave.
Private Alexander Liddell was the eldest son of Mr. and Mrs. Alexander Liddell, Marshall Bank, Pollock Shields, and was with his father in business when he enlisted. Joining the Scottish Horse in September 1915, he was in a very short time sent abroad and saw service in Egypt, Salonika, and finally in France. From the day he enlisted till August 1918, he was never home. He was attached to the 13th Black Watch, and while in action with them, in France was killed near Le Chateau on the 4th November 1918 at the age of 22, a former pupil of Bellahouston Academy, Glasgow.
So here we are, arrived as we've headed back west, heading back towards the Albert Somme area. We've come here to, I'm going to say this one, this is at Flisquaris Hill British Cemetery. We're here to see a footballer, and probably a little bit of a special footballer, because he is a footballer that actually played for Glasgow Rangers. So we will look for him here as we get to the cemetery. There's also what looks like a tank memorial there, which we may investigate as well when we're here. But this is the cemetery, Flisquaris Hill, I would call it, but who knows if I'm correct. So here we are, another one. Here we are, another one that is going to test my French. We are at a Metz en Cotard cemetery. It's a communal, again, just over the back there is the communal bit of it. Small communal small communal one, and then here we have the military one, decent size one. And here we're here to pay our respects to a VC winner. So here we have George Patton, or Tatham Patton, VC Military Cross winner as well. I mean, in the immense battle, he kept rallying his men, even standing on parapet to encourage them to keep going under immense pressure, which won him the VC. He's sadly doing that. He was sadly mortally wounded and later died. So now we're officially back on the Somme area, and we're here, and again another pronunciation, Roquin Equincourt or Equincourt British Road British Cemetery. Very impressive one, looks rather large as well. We're also here to visit three people, as I'm just coming up over the top there. We've got three people to visit. We have a footballer, a VC winner, and also one of our Bellahouston ex-pupils. So we'll go through, beautiful archway, and into the main cemetery. Again, sorry for the wind. It's what we have found here is they seem to put most of the cemeteries on top of the hills, and the wind blows through. But we are slightly shaded now, but there, to give you a vast idea of the cemetery. There's a few there as well. So what we'll do is we'll go and look for those three. So we've walked up to the sort of far corner of the cemetery, and as you can see there's some British, there's some French, and also some German, all buried together here at this section of the corner. And we've found our soldier that we're looking for, who is ex-pupil Bellahouston, James Barry.
Mr. James Barry, West Henderson Farm, Cardonald. Up till the time of his enlistment in the 5th Reserve Battalion of the Argylls, he assisted his father in the work of the farm. After a short period of training, he was drafted to France in September 1918 and went into action on the Cambrai front. Here he was wounded on the 11th of October and died 2 days later in the 18th Casualty Clearing Station. Private Barry, who was of a quiet and unassuming nature, he was 22 years of age, a former pupil of Bellahouston Academy, Glasgow.
Winter, who played for Gainsborough Trinity, which small non-league team and are still in existence to this day. So Clifford Winter was off the Camerons but played for Gainsborough Trinity. So here we have, a bit windy, but here we have Sergeant John Rhodes, VC winner. He actually won the VC, or the VC ad in Ypres, which entailed him entering a pillar box, a German pillar box, and capturing it single-handedly, which won him the VC. He then came over to the Somme, and about 6 weeks later was killed in action, as you see, on the 27th of November. His VC, he won it on October 9th in Belgium. So here we are, we've arrived at Delvaux Wood Cemetery, and as you can see, it is vast. Another large one, very flat here. And also with the on here on the other side, we have actually got the South African Memorial, which we will head up to there shortly as well. But we're here at Delvaux Wood to see we've got two Bellahouston boys as a VC winner here, and also a footballer as well. Right, we've got to, as I say, finding these cemeteries. We found the Bellahouston boys. Quite poignant moment at the moment, because both of them are actually buried almost side to side, with the exception of an unknown soldier known unto God in the middle of them. It's quite poignant, this one. Both died on the same day, one aged 20, one aged 22. You've got to say that they did know each other.
Private Samuel Doig, son of Mr. and Mrs. Samuel Doig, 3 Keir Street, Pollokshields, was killed in action at High Wood on July 15, 1916, while carrying a wounded comrade to safety. Private Doig, who was 20, was born in Oban, his father being the then chief engineer on the SS Fusilier. On leaving the academy, he entered the British Linen Bank and was engaged in the St George's Cross branch when he joined the 9th HLI in September 1915, a former pupil of Bellahouston Academy. Second Lieutenant John Tennant Cranston, aged 22, was the eldest son of Mr. and Mrs. John Cranston, Crossley, Dombrec. He was a cashier with Messrs. J.P. Kinghorn and Company, Mitchell Street, Glasgow, when he joined the 9th HLI on the 2nd of September 1914. He left for France after 2 months training and was wounded in the trenches at Givenchy on the last day of the year. After his recovery, he received a commission in another battalion of the same regiment. He returned to France in January 1916 and was killed at Bois de Fouroux, High Wood, early in the morning of 15th of July, while trying to get in some wounded men. This action was characteristic of Lieutenant Cranston, who was an energetic and capable officer and entirely regardless of self, a former pupil of Bellahouston Academy, Glasgow.
Well, when we came in this cemetery, I did make a mistake saying we had a footballer to pay our respects to. It's not actually a footballer, it's actually just a cricketer. Or not just a cricketer, but a cricketer, Claude Newbury, South African cricketer, first class. And here we have a VC winner, Albert Gill, who won the VC 27th of July. here at Daleville Wood. What it was, you see, the gunners were all killed and his battalion took over, even though they didn't know how to operate the bombings, the gunners, the bombing post. But then they were being picked off by snipers, and to deflect that away from his platoon, he actually stood up in full view of them, taking the distraction, and the snipers instantly shot him and killed him instantly. So here we are, Daleville Wood still, but heading up to the South African Memorial. Quite impressive as the gates are here and as you see it in the distance there. So we'll head up there now. So here as we get closer, as you see the offshoots of the woods as well, where you have got little stones, columns depicting something there, looking back to the main gate and over to Daleville Wood Cemetery, and then again another column at the side there. So what we'll do is we'll walk up into the memorial. Hopefully museum, we'll go to the museum. Now what I will do, as I said, I've thought I will not video in the museums, because that is something, if you do come here, then you must sort of go. It is all part of helping to keep it funded, to keep these as good in memory of all these soldiers. So what I will do, any museum that we do go to, we will tell you that we're going to them, but we will not actually video in it. So here we've come up to the next cemetery on our list, which is the London Cemetery and Extension. Now in here, again, very large one, and we have got a Bella Houston boy that's actually buried somewhere in here. So we'll go in and we will find him. So yeah, we've managed to find our Bella Houston boy, which is here.
Second Lieutenant Arthur William Emmanuel Long was the eldest son of Mr and Mrs A.W. Long, 7 Halwell Road, Edgbaston, Birmingham. After leaving Bella Houston Academy, he went to the Royal Grammar School, Newcastle on Tyne, and then removed to Birmingham on his father being appointed one of the residents' Admiralty overseers. In 1914, he enlisted in the 15th Battalion Royal Warwickshire Regiment, with whom he remained till September 1915. He then obtained his commission, and after going through a course of training with the OTC at Gravesend, Shoreham and in Ireland, he was sent to France in June 1916. Here he was attached to the 1st Royal West Surrey Regiment and took part in some heavy fighting. On August 24th, 1916, an attack was being made on the enemy, and while racing across the open at the head of his men, he was killed instantaneously by a shell. His body was brought back and was buried with military honours near Albert. Second Lieutenant Long was only 20 years of age when he was killed, a former pupil of Bella Houston Academy, Glasgow.
Okay, next stop on our journey is Wallincourt British Cemetery. Now this is where we're on the Posnier Road, or the road to Albert. Probably about 10 miles from Albert, so heading back straight down into the main bit of it. But we stopped here as we have a Bella Houston boy buried here at this cemetery. So heading through these rather impressive archways to the main part of the cemetery, with the cross at the end. Another very stunning running cemetery, beautifully and immaculately kept, and a lot of souls laid to rest here. So not far into the cemetery we've found our first one, which is a Bellahouston boy.
Second Lieutenant Donald McLean, aged 21, was the youngest son of Mr and Mrs John McLean, Beaumont, Barfillin Drive, Cardonal, Glasgow, and late of North Uist. He was taking his arts course at Glasgow University when war broke out. After training in the OTC, he was gazetted to a commission in the 6th Cameron Highlanders, but on proceeding to France was attached to another battalion of the same regiment. While in charge of a working party, he was wounded by a piece of shell, but before he could be removed, he was killed by another shell which burst close by. Lieutenant McLean, who was known in many districts of the Highlands, fulfilled the Borere tradition, a soldier or a cleric. He intended to enter the ministry, but died a soldier. A former pupil of Bellahouston Academy, Glasgow.
Here we have a New Zealand VC winner, Sergeant Donald Brown, who with him and his platoon rushed 3 gun towers and captured all 3 of them. This happened in September the 15th at the height of the Battle of the Somme, but and that's where he was awarded the VC. He stayed fighting throughout the Somme campaign until October the 1st, where he was killed in action. So we're here by the main road into in and out of Albert, just at Pozières, and we've come across this a monument erected to the memory of officers of the Tank Corps. Didn't actually know this was here, wasn't on our agenda to park up here, but it is also facing Windmill Australia Memorial, which we'll be heading to as soon as I can get across the road. So yeah, that is a memorial to the Tank Corps of World War One. So here we are, the Australian, what's called Windmill Memorial, dedicated to the Australians who fought here in and around the Somme area. Well, there still is actually, looks like some trenches still in bits of it as we go up and over. If you can't hear me, I do apologise, the wind is really getting up now. You can hear it with the flagpoles, the flags are going high as well. As we come up, part memorials, craters to where it's. So another one we've came to, another memorial. We're starting to find these memorials as we get closer and closer to Albert. This is the 1st Division Australian Memorial. Rather impressive sitting there as we're going up to it. There is a little wooded area, I think, with some bits in it there, which we will take a walk into as well. Rather beautiful area. And as we go up, that is the memorial directly in front of us. So here we've come into Pozières, or Pozières, I believe it is, British Military Cemetery, and it is memorial as well, and it is a rather impressive, rather big, rather huge. I am going to run across the road so as I can get the full scale of this. As you can see here, the entrance to the cemetery and memorial. So here as we come in to the memorial and cemetery, as you see the stones of the widow with all the panels around the wall. So what we are here to do is pay our respects to quite a few of them. We've got one Bellahouston boy, Robert Smith. He is actually on one of the panels, along with footballer Thomas Morris, who actually played for Brighton, Coventry, Grimsby and Leeds City. We've got quite a few footballers. There is one buried here, but the other one is a Henry Pennifer, who actually played for QPR, so he played for Queen's Park Rangers. We have a couple of Victoria Cross winners, a Wilfred Elstob and a Herbert Columbine, along with Claude Castleton and Edmund de Wind. All of these are on panels. I do believe Claude Castonian is actually buried here, but we will go and look for them on the panels. May take us a little while, but we will get round there and do that. So here we have Spencer Bassett, footballer, who actually played for Arsenal, Exeter, Swansea and Southend. VC winner Claude Castleton, he was a machine gun corps, but what he'd done, he was out into the field finding wounded men in shell holes. He managed to carry two of them back and probably saved their lives, but in the third attempt he was shot and killed instantly, which earned him the Victoria Cross.
Private Robert H. T. Smith was the son of Mr. and Mrs. R. Smith, 1 Church Road, Ibrox, Glasgow. He was employed as a measurer when, on the outbreak of war, he enlisted in the 5th Scottish Rifles. After training at various camps, he proceeded to France, where he was transferred to the 2nd Battalion Scottish Rifles. He was last seen at Nesle, and after being reported missing, was presumed killed on the 25th of March 1918. He was 23 years old, a former pupil of Bellahouston Academy, Glasgow.
So here we have on the panel from the Devonshire Regiment Thomas Morris. Third there from the top, private, who was a footballer, who played for Brighton, Coventry City, Grimsby Town and Leeds City. That was Thomas Morris there on the panel 25 here at Pozia. Here on panel 61 we have Lance Corporal Henry Pennifer, who was a QPR player before his death. Here we have VC winner Wilfred Elstob, who kept the ammunition running through heavy fire. In a prolonged attack, he kept all the regiment, all the platoon fully stocked with ammunition, but it was overrun and he was killed eventually. That was on the 21st of March 1918. So Edmund de Wind, VC winner, Canadian, although wounded twice or shot twice, he kept at his post, commanding his troops, fighting right through to the end till he could no longer, and took a fatal shot which killed him. Herbert Columbine, the VC winner here, was actually a machine gun corps. He kept his position firing even though he had no support. He kept the Germans at bay for 4 hours, and it was only a low-flying aircraft dropping bombs that which succumbed to him and killed him. His body was never found, and his name lies in this memorial, panel 93, Pozias. So here, off the beaten track slightly as we walk down the hill, we've come here to the Gordon Dump Cemetery. Here to pay our respects to a VC winner who was also a footballer. As I say, at the beaten track, but it is quite a large cemetery. So we will go in here and we'll find this footballer or VC winner, whatever you want. One of those rare VC winners and a footballer. Is it Donald Bell, who played for Bradford, Park Avenue, an amateur team which are still in existence now, and Newcastle. He won his VC, creeping along communication trenches, and then rushed open field to attack a German trench. He done this 5 days before his eventual death on the 10th of July 1916. So here we have another footballer. Is it Charles Scott, who actually played for Cowdenbeath, otherwise known as the Blue Brazil. So here we are, Contalmaison, little walk up the hill there into this, just sitting back off the road, Contalmaison Chateau Cemetery. And I hope I got the pronunciation that right. It is getting late in the evening and we're still on the go. I think this is going to be our final one tonight before we head back to the flat. So here we are looking for a Bellahouston boy is buried here, along with a VC winner as well. So we will go and look for them. Here we have a VC winner, William Shott. He was injured once in the foot, but stayed in the trenches, throwing bombs when he could. He was then hit by a shell nearby, which took his leg, and he was invalided there. He was requested to leave, but didn't, and he set pins and charges for his men to throw, or for the men to throw, until he succumbed to his injuries a day later in hospital.
Sergeant Alfred John Whitson, third son of Mr and Mrs W.H. Whitson, 18 Percy Street, Ibrox, Glasgow. He enlisted in September 1914 and was promoted to sergeant in 1915 and left with a draft for France in August 1916. Before his new battalion, the 12th HLI, went into action on the Somme, Sergeant Whitson was seriously wounded at Martinpuch by a shell on September 15th and died in the field ambulance the same day. The bravest man I ever attended, the field medical officer said. He was 22 and a law apprentice at Messrs Moncrieff, Warren and Patterson, West George Street, Glasgow. A former pupil of Bellahouston Academy, Glasgow.
Hi and good evening, and welcome to the end of day 2. First things first, got to apologise for anybody that was waiting for the day 1's video to go. So tired last night. I did upload it all, get it all ready, and then fell asleep and forgot to press. I did think I'd uploaded it and it was there on YouTube. I thought I'd pressed everything that was meant to be pressed. It wasn't until about lunchtime today that I realised I hadn't went public when nobody had viewed it. So apologies for that. Won't let that happen again. I say another amazing day here in the heart of the Western Front at Albert in the Somme. We travelled east as far as we went, as far as we were going to go. We went east, picked up a lot of cemeteries, visited a lot of Bellahouston boys' graves to pay the respects to them. So, all I'm saying is that, again, knackered, really cold out here. Don't know what it's like back home, but really cold, but so much enjoyable. Please enjoy the video, please press like, thumbs up, everything else. And this one will definitely go live tonight. And I will speak to you again tomorrow, day 3, staying in the Somme area, picking up all the big ones, Ulster Tower, Thiepval, Newfoundland. So that'll be a very interesting one tomorrow. So we will see you then. I'm off to bed.